something I love about you and I really appreciate is like you talking about mental health and making it funny and accessible. And what has that like, not to like get deep, but like what has that process been like for you? And even before you were on TV and like doing comedy, it's like, were you struggling more or do you struggle more now? Or like what's your process been like with that?
Good question. So I was a tennis player until I was 22. And I didn't realize at the time I suffered from like severe performance anxiety, but I thought I was just crazy. But I also was playing at a very high level, so I was still winning a lot, but I was like battling demons every day. And tennis is a hard sport because when you're not feeling well, you can't cancel, you can't like pass the ball or call a timeout. It's just you out there. And when you leave, like you either win or lose. So I would like get the yips, similar to like Simone Biles.
Dude, I just watched Ted Lasso last night and they talked about the yips.
They talked about the yips. It's like a real thing.
What? That's so weird.
Where I was playing number 1 for the University of Wisconsin, and I like, someone told me like I was changing my second serve, and someone told me a story about a girl who like, she like lost her second serve. She just couldn't hit it. And like my OCD was like, that's going to happen to me. And then I just like shanked every second serve. I couldn't get out of it. So I've dealt with, but at the time in tennis, people just call you like a mental case. Like they're like, oh, she's a mental case. But I was like a very big fighter and hustler. So I would find ways to win matches because that was my livelihood was if I win, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I was, it was wild. It was like a cult, but, I survived it. And then at some point I wanted to go pro, but I was like, you are miserable, bitch. You're miserable.
Was Wisconsin good at tennis?
They were good. They're Big Ten.
Okay.
They're stereotypically the best schools are like Florida and California because it's hot, but like Michigan was great. Northwestern was great. But I decided I wanted to stop. And then I just left tennis. So I was like, oh, so now I'm not crazy anymore. Because tennis was what brought out my crazy. And I do think a lot of my anxiety I would just put into my tennis.
Yes.
So the tennis was just expressing my anxiety. But it actually wasn't really the source of it. That was just me. But I didn't know that. And then I got into a shitty relationship where relationships are mirrors. And I found this guy who was like hot and he was smart and he was funny and he was successful and he was like had some fame. But I felt like shit around him. And then I started to think that I was self-sabotaging because I felt like shit around him. And I'm like, Hannah, he's perfect. But I like had more fun with my friends, liked his roommate better. He made me feel bad about myself. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? So I thought I was self-sabotaging like I did with tennis. And then I realized you have horrible anxiety. Your gut is right. Mm-hmm. You have to start listening to your fucking gut. So I got out of the relationship. And then I started manifesting, like, what do you want? I was like, I want to do video. I want to express myself. I want to talk about mental health. And then like in 2 years, I was on TV. And now I'm doing comedy. Yeah. Yeah. It was a very quick, like, once I found my lane, I was like, oh, this feels so much better. A lot of the times, anxiety and things will be difficult because you're, like, doing things that you don't actually want to do. Yeah. And your brain and your body will tell you to get away. But I am so good at pushing through, like, things I don't want to do that I lost touch with my inner voice. And once I found my inner voice, my happiness is waking up and just feeling like I can be myself.
Yes.
Is it hard sometimes when like the media or like people think they know you when they don't and people hate you or whatever? I'm still dealing with that. But like at least I could wake up in the morning and know my people know me and I'm living my like truest form because I don't really know who I am. No one really knows who they are.
I know.
But I'm trying my best, you know?
Yeah, it's so weird with mental health and anxiety and depression because I've had it at like various stages in my life. But I have found that the more I'm being myself all the time and the less I'm doing things that in jobs I don't want to be in or in relationships I don't want to be in or just being inauthentic, it's so much easier. Like I haven't had a lot of anxiety or depression like moments or spells or weeks or times in so long because I felt like when I was living in Chicago, I was working at this job I hated. I was in a relationship I didn't want to be in, all this stuff. And it was so bad. And it was almost like that inner voice that I wasn't listening to. And it's like you feel weird saying that because there is chemical aspects to it that like very much so exist. But there also is that too. Like for you, it's like you're not in the right place. You're not listening to yourself.
Yeah.
So it's manifesting as like this feeling of discrepancy between where you're at and like what your heart is saying.
It's also hard because sometimes you have trouble deciphering those whispers that you're hearing, if they're anxiety or your gut.
Yes.
You're like, am I scaring myself, or is this my body being like, this is not right, which can be difficult. I talked to an aura healer, a spiritual aura healer, who said I'm like blue to go and purple, and she told me that I purple bomb places, and I was like, oh, what is that? I should be aware of that.
You're like black magic. Yeah, she's like,
yo. She basically says like you need authenticity around you, and if you sense things are fake, and this could be like a job where you feel like people are like doing something behind your back, or people that you feel like are being fake with you and talking bad about you. She's like, if it goes too long, you will bomb the place. Like, you will just be like, I'm fucking out. I'm out of this. Fuck you. Fuck. It takes me a lot to get there. And I've realized in my life, like, I've been fired from jobs before. I've lost friend groups, and it tends to be because like I can't fake anything.
Yes.
And it can really hurt at the time, or you feel like you did something wrong. But sometimes it's like with men, guys will not like you because you're showing them who you are. And then the people who do like you are going to like you. Or you could pretend to just be like a cool girl and people aren't going to know what to do.
Oh, the cool girl.
Because there's no X factor to it.
Yes.
Like, just be your gross, authentic self and see who wants to tie with your energy.
That's what I think for you. It's like TV feels so natural, and it feels so like easy because you're not faking it. So it's like, if you're going on TV and you're even in so especially with reality. So if you're a person, you go on reality TV, you're faking it as somebody else, but people think that this is real. You kind of are confused. You're like, it's very confusing.
Do you know what's fucked up? I think people who are fake on reality TV actually do best on reality TV because there's almost like a level of separation.
Totally.
And
they're like, they don't hate me, they hate my mask.
Yeah. Or they like are so disconnected with themselves that like whatever they get is good attention.
Yes.
Where like I went out very raw and I'm actually realized how sensitive I am.
Oh.
But
what?
To just like being put in tough situations. And I really went on my show in particular to just like be funny, show like the highs and lows, how I solve problems, whatever. But I realized like I love entertaining. I love making people happy. I am myself. My fears are not like being embarrassed, or my fears are more like I don't like failing or losing. But putting myself out there and being me is what I enjoy. I think that's why I enjoy stand-up so much. Because tennis, I would go on the stage and perform, but end with like a win or a loss. That was like, you either fucking suck or you're the best. Yes, and the yips on top of it.
Did you like freak out when you had that?
Yeah, I was underhand serving. Dude,
I don't even know what that means. But it makes me laugh.
It's just wild shit. But like, what was funny
is just like at a college level to be doing that seems funny to me.
Coach, you like write notes like of when you play someone like scouting reports, and coaches would be like, the notes we have in Hannah are insane. Like, it's just all over the place. So it kind of worked in my favor. People are like, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, 100%.
What day. But my tennis was not just me. Like, it was like, there was money behind it. There's coaches involved. There's parents involved. It was this like complicated thing that I felt like I had so much pressure from the age of like 9 years old, where stand up, it's just me. My ego's not attached to it. I go out there, whether I do well or not, I feel just proud of myself for like trying. And it's been this very healthy form of creativity. Or reality TV was fun to like be getting attention, but I'm not part of the creative process. And I actually really do love the creating of it and being part of a little more in control of my future.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Morning Microdose by Almost 30.
We hope you enjoyed waking up.
As always, we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest. If you enjoyed this trip, tune into the full episode on the Almost 30 podcast. All episode information can be found in the show notes.
Make sure to subscribe, and if this becomes a part of your morning routine, be sure to share it with a friend. We have new inspiring doses Monday through Friday. Follow us on Instagram at Morning Microdose. And follow Almost 30 at Almost 30 Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the vortex.